Hey everyone, just before I start the video, I want to give a shout out to my merch store.
Yeah.
Do you want everyone to know that you're gay in some capacity?
No.
Well, look no further to the Are They Gay merch store. Are you a part of the homosexual agenda?
Yeah.
Are you the town lesbian? Well, make sure that your position is cemented for generations to come.
Alright.
Follow this link or the link in the description to go to my merch store.
Great.
Hi everyone. There's a pandemic and America's on fire as of filming. Whoa! The 80s are back? I said in 2016. Now it's looking like we're riding the Roaring 20s train pretty hard, huh? And you know what else they had in the Roaring 20s? Unapologetic degeneracy. Well, my friends, there is nothing better than unapologetic degeneracy. It is the commercially successful 1986 horror novel by Stephen King. He's known for other chilling works like The Shining, Misery, The State and Revolution, and Barack Obama, The Audacity of Hope. Now, when you think of homosexual literature, Stephen King is probably not the first guy to come to mind. It's probably something like The Great Gatsby or Capital Volume 1, but, you know, over the years, queer people and people with common sense have looked at it and thought, you know, maybe there's something a little gay under there. Pennywise, Secret Matchmaker, hello? Stephen King novels have been made into various films of various success, and it is no exception, especially to the varying success part. The 1990s thought they were ready for it, but instead we got Brony Tales and Queer Erasure, am I right, folks? While people have been theorizing for Richie and Eddie for a millennium, it wasn't until the 2017 adaptation of It that we finally got the Richie and Eddie fervor that people have been clamoring for decades. Mostly because of the tween sensations, but, you know, tweens are gonna tween. So to give Reddie what it fully deserves, Brony Tales and all, we're going to analyze the underlying queerness of it. So, grab some popcorn, forget that thing you're putting off, and let's get ready for Barack Obama, The Audacity of Hope. So since I'm assuming that the Reddie thing really got going after the 2017 movie universe, I'm gonna focus on the plot and the characters around this film, and subsequently add that to the reasons why I hate capitalism. Just kidding, it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's funny. It's fun. So the first 2017 film takes place in the 80s and starts out with that iconic child death scene that we all know and love. After Georgie gets eaten by the It, we get character intros for everyone else. We got Ben, the new kid in town. Mike, the one who, coincidentally, gets less dialogue and screen time. Rich, the comedian who masks his obvious sorrow in humor. Stan, the one who also gets less screen time, but we don't feel as bad about it. Eddie, the anxious hypochondriac, which should receive the respect and professional help it deserves. Bev, the token ginger. And Bill. So, what's the deal here? Who are these kids? Well, essentially, they're losers. They all bond over how much cringe they post and how much they watch anime semi-ironically. The story forces their paths to cross, and they become best friends at the beginning of the summer of 1988. They're all also coincidentally being followed by a particularly demonic clown. The same one that killed Georgie. There's also this other kid named Henry. Basically, the writers took the characteristics of every 80s movie bully and put them on a wall, and then threw darts. And bam, we got Henry. Henry and his goons like to follow around the losers and bully them, but without the charisma or the redeeming qualities of your typical 80s bullies. He's no Nelson Muntz, or even Biff. He really makes you want to wait until he's an adult who realizes the consequences of his actions but doesn't change in spite of that, and then you can punch him in the face guilt-free. So the story in the movie itself has a pretty typical horror structure, and some of the scenes are actually pretty creative, not gonna lie. But, you know, basic kids become friends, kids discover they're being pursued by a demonic clown, kids devise plan to kill the clown, that fails. They go to kill the clown, but they're more prepared with a montage of them preparing, and then they're successful, and also they defeat the bully, and then people clap, and then there's a romantic subplot that's resolved. Speaking of romantic subplots, ugh, I hear some people say, why can't Richie and Eddie just be bros? I used to tease my bros, but that doesn't make me gay. We weren't really gay until we got married. And to them I say sure. I don't necessarily want to label these fictional kids fully fledged homosexuals because, you know, we should give these fictional characters some time to fictionally sort that out for themselves and fictionally come out on their own terms. I get it, but you know, there's no harm in a fun story. Like, Bev and Bill had this random thing going on. Ben and Bev also. So it's not like there's no precedent of having romantic subplots in these stories. Also, you should be thanking me for not mentioning that scene from the novel. I think fan theories on young theoretical gays are fine, as long as it's innocent speculation on the veracity of a possible fictional childhood crush. Then I think acknowledging that young queer people exist is normal. But of course, let's save the intense sexualization for James McAvoy, okay? And if you so insist, you effing freaks. Yeah, Bill Hader too. So yes, we're presented with the Losers, a group of tween pop sensations that are followed by a killer clown. They then defeat this clown and go their separate ways. It Chapter 2 deals with what happens when everyone grows up into hyper-heterosexual adults. Bill becomes the Stephen King self-insert, Ben becomes successful, and you can tell because he's wearing a suit. Eddie also becomes successful because he's also wearing a suit. But his life sucks because his wife is yelling at him. Get it? Do you get it? Are you getting it? There's no joke about Bev. Richie becomes Bill Hader, but gayer. Stan is not, and Mike is that one guy who never left his hometown. In this second installment, they're chased by a killer clown, and then they defeat it, except this time, everything's a little bit gayer. So who cares about these arguable cash grabs? What am I gonna analyze if it's obvious that Richie is in love with Eddie? I mean, it was obvious, right? You were paying attention, weren't you? You didn't happen to blink during the 2-hour runtime and miss it, right? I mean, it couldn't have been that subtle. Remember when Richie confessed his love for Eddie and they rode the last train to Bisexual Town? Oh, what? Oh, that didn't happen? Well, what's the deal with Richie and Eddie then? So it's the 80s, and Ronald Reagan is happening. He's also ignoring the AIDS crisis and all the issues facing the LGBTQ+ community. So not only is the president racist, but he's also facilitating the demonization of queer people. Now, these things are important, they're complicated, and they warrant their own video. But we're talking about it here. If you wanted to come out in this environment, considering all the stuff that happened, it would be pretty frightening, huh? I mean, it's still frightening, but I would think that in this time period in particular, it's a special type of frightening. So of course, there's plenty of reasons for this novel and these kids to act in a certain way, because it's complicated, you know? So it's not like Richie and Eddie could completely figure out their sexuality without some sort of internalized homophobia going on. They live in a small, tight-knit community called Derry. And you know what they say about tight-knit communities, huh? The tighter the knit, the more everyone hates each other. So the town is pretty racist and homophobic, and it's the 80s, and they're 13-year-old boys. So they throw around the F-slur like your mom. Yeah, and they also make your mom jokes every other word. At least Richie does. But let's examine their friendship and how it develops as they become adults. Richie and Eddie introduces their relationship as one of those innocent, bickering relationships. You know, the one where they secretly love each other, but they're too dude bro to admit they like being in each other's presence. We're introduced to the characters as typical 80s arguing nerds, making your mom jokes, your sister jokes, and so on.
They sliced the tip of his dick off.
In the 90s version of this movie, the relationship is the same way.
How you doing, Eddie Spaghetti?
Don't do that. I hate it when you do that. And don't call me Eddie Spaghetti.
Oh, you love it, Eddie. It's what makes you so chuckalicious.
Eddie is some fast-talking anxious dude, and Richie likes to make fun of him, calling him things like Eddie Spaghetti. In the book, although it's like 1,000 pages, we do get glimpses of the teasing. That's because they know how cute you are, Eds, just like me. I saw what a cutie you were the first time I met you. Don't call me Eds and don't you dare pinch my cheek, he cried, rounding on Eddie. You know I hate that. I always hated it. They both torture each other, but you know how there's just some people who you fight with and you get some thrill out of it for some unknown reason. And then you reminisce over each fight as you're about to fall asleep, and then you keep replaying it over and over in your head, but for some reason this time it's in slow motion, and the other person looks all sparkly, like Edward Cullen. So Richie is the type of dude to overcompensate. And I get it, when you're 13, you're probably insecure and do a lot of stupid shit. Like, there are just some things that you want to leave in your 13-year-old self's past. Like, for me, it was self-hatred and caring about the next Star Wars movie. Well, Richie loves your mom jokes. And he loves talking about how he's definitely not a virgin. And that he's a total dude bro sex god. As you can tell, he's not.
Wait, can only virgins see this stuff? Is that why I'm not seeing this shit?
But why? Could he maybe, perhaps, possibly, just possibly, be trying to prove that he's totally 100% a heterosexual dude bro? Let's have some sympathy, okay? What, like you've never been an insecure 13-year-old? You're watching this channel, so you either are or have been one. Let's revisit Richie though. Now, Eddie. He doesn't make as many your mom jokes as Richie does, but he's Richie's main squeeze, so he also likes to throw jabs at him sometimes.
Fuck it.
How does Eddie feel about it?
Have you ever heard of a staph infection?
Does he like the attention? Does he have a Richie photo collage in his bedroom? Has he made emotional subtweets about him at 2:36 a.m.? Well, let's look at the book again. It was just Richie. He could drive you bug shit, but it was still sort of nice to have him around. Man, he had hated it when Richie called him Eds, but he had sort of liked it too. So maybe, deep down, he kinda likes Richie. Maybe he likes Richie paying attention to him, and maybe he likes laughing at Richie's jokes sometimes. And maybe he imagines a future where they take the kids to a cabin upstate every summer. You know, this is just an educated guess. The gang together calls themselves the Losers Club. They all clearly love each other, especially after being chased by the same metrosexual clown. They're in it together. You know, the whole Losers Club thing, it sounds pretty, what's the word, gay? Now, I'm not saying that all gay people are losers. Well, most of us are. But the idea that there's like an underground group of outcasts that like share their feelings of isolation and bond over the unique experience, I don't know. Sounds pretty metaphorical to me. So if a green light can symbolize disillusionment and the American dream in The Great Gatsby, you know, one of the greatest American novels ever, then I think maybe a group of moody outcasts might be a little bit queer. A little bit. And Eddie talks about this a bit. When he realizes how messed up the whole situation is, he reiterates,
Can we stop talking about this? I can barely breathe. This is summer. We're kids. I can barely breathe. I'm having a fucking asthma attack. And I'm not doing this.
When he realizes how messed up the whole murder situation is, he reiterates that he just wants to be a normal kid. It sounds like what a lot of LGBTQ+ youth go through. Sometimes you would give anything just to fit in. And then, when they went to this clearly not up to code house to go looking for the clown, Richie will get into dumb shit for Eddie. Like, when Eddie wanders off from the haunted house or whatever, Richie separates himself from the group to go looking for him. You do dumb stuff for your crush, you know? Sometimes you just gotta post cringe, but unironically, you know? After the hooliganism, and the clown, and the house, and the Eddie breaking his arm, they all get into a fight. The losers all realize that, you know, this is kinda serious business, and maybe they're like, you know, 13. They have a decently big fight and part ways, and, you know, there's a parting ways montage. But as it turns out, Pennywise takes Bev, and the kids decides that, you know, they should do something about it. They call Eddie, and Eddie, the kid who for years has been manipulated by his mom, the kid who is basically unhealthily dependent on his mom, stands up to her and says, "No, I'm gonna do shit for my friends." Eddie gives up what was holding him back, for the losers, for Bev, for Richie. Well, I'll spare you the Act 3 bullshit, but they do go confront the clown, and it really is a bonding moment for all of them. Richie does the whole speech thing, being as serious as he could possibly be.
I'm gonna have to kill this fucking clown.
They really love each other, and they do really do it. They defeat the clown. They stand firm. These kids are obviously going to have some sort of lifelong, unbreakable bond. For Richie and Eddie, it might become a bigger thing, when they become wrinkly, 40-year-old dudes who go on fishing trips every now and then they lose everything in the financial crisis as their respective marriages fall apart. But they always had those special fishing trips on Brokeback Mountain, and they decide to reunite after 20 years and finally consummate their lifelong love. But for now, they do the whole blood brother thing and stick to ambiguous shoulder clasps. And they're like a pair. Richie and Eddie are undoubtedly a pair, beyond the whole Losers Club thing. Like Kirk and and Spock, John and Yoko, Sherlock and Watson, Beavis and Butthead, Sherlock and Watson, and of course, Sherlock and Watson. Now, could Richie and Eddie just be typical gal pals? Like, take this scene. The joke is supposed to be that all the boys are like looking at Bev and noticing her or whatever. There's also an indication that Eddie might have a crush on this one extremely 80s girl from the pharmacy. So for people who use this as evidence against Reddie, which who cares, honestly, why are you, get a life. And second, teenagers are weird. I'm gonna let them deal with that. And second, bisexuals exist. What? No, I never got to marry James McAvoy. Hey, I'm back, I guess. I think Brendan Urie summoned us for the agenda or something, so I'm here. Anyways, Richie and Eddie, right? I mean, are they? Will they? Did they? Could they? Should they? Maybe. Let's revisit the whole gay thing. They're kids now. Let them fictionally go through their crisis and their accompanying suspicious fantasies about their favorite band. How did they turn out as adults? Bisexual disasters? Gay disasters? Find out on the next episode of iCarly. Oh, they made a part 2. Oh, and it's gayer. And James McAvoy has hair. So, It Part 2 is about the return of Pennywise and the Losers Club. It's like 30 years later and everyone's old and crusty and grumpy and probably gay. And you can tell with this one that they're consciously trying to promote gay themes. The narration starts out with a quote about the past.
People want to believe they are what they choose to remember.
Yeah, so we're already starting out with this whole identity repression shit. Like, okay, go ahead, remind the gays of their past drama. Thanks. Okay. No, it's okay. No, I'm fine. No, you don't have to. No, I'm okay. The movie starts out with a gay hate crime. It honestly feels like a gory after-school special, if you get what I mean.
Meg Ryan called. She wants her wig back.
The point of the scene within the movie is to demonstrate that Pennywise is back, and he's strong because he's able to feed off the hate and fear within Derry. And I guess that's something, like, good for them that they want to bring up the sensitive issue of hate crimes, but let's be real. Do you really think that Warner Brothers cares about the queer community? No. They care about lining their pockets with gays' cash while ignoring and profiting from the structural and cultural issues that lead to homophobia in all its forms. But good for them. Can't wait to see their Pride Month rainbow Twitter icon made by an underpaid intern. So how does this very serious issue play within the Richie and Eddie thing? Well, the queer tilt of It Chapter 2 is important for Richie's character arc. I guess the writers are going for the, hate is bad thing. What a revelation! I didn't know bigotry was bad before, but now that a corporation told me, I think I'm starting to see it. I think this demonstrates one of my problems with it. It's both not subtle enough, but also too subtle. Like, cool, homophobia is bad. Like, cool, I get it. People with mullets are evil, I get it. And I know that some people might still need to see this message on screen, I get that part, but I think there were better ways to tell this story. It seems kinda too easy or something. But let's continue with the Richie stuff. So as I said before, they all grew up with varying degrees of success. Mike calls them and tells them that Pennywise is back and that they need to come back to Derry. In the present day, Eddie is like a stocks guy now, so he sold his soul, and Richie became a famous white male comedian, so he probably never had a soul. But they all come back to Derry and reunite, and realize that they've forgotten everything. Mike tells them that once you leave Derry, your memory fades, and you can't really remember a lot about the town anymore. So the Babysitters Club reunites, and they're doing the whole, oh hey, we're reminiscing over our past, and there totally isn't any unresolved feelings here, right? Eddie and Richie instantly return to their old dynamic. The old chemistry is still there. Do you think?
So wait, Eddie, you got married?
Yo, why is it so fucking funny, dickwad?
What, to a woman?
Fuck you, bro.
Haha, I'm totally not making gay jokes because I might be a little gay or something. No, definitely am not thinking about the fact that you're married now. No, I definitely don't feel any pressure to get married despite all my childhood friends being married. Don't have any social roles that I feel like I haven't fulfilled and therefore feel internalized hatred of some capacity. No, I don't. I really. So Richie seems a little gayer these days.
Obviously, I lost a few pounds.
Yeah, no shit, you lost.
You're you're hot.
Okay. Well, anyways, their food becomes possessed and they're like, oh, so Pennywise is back. Maybe we should, like, leave. But they can't, apparently, because they'll all die horrible deaths if they don't defeat Pennywise. So it's decided. Time to fight Pennywise again, but make sure to reminisce about your childhood so we can use the tween pop sensations who are contractually obligated. So it turns out that they each have to collect personal items in order to complete some ritual that will kill Pennywise or something. They go to their old clubhouse and reminisce about some memories. You get to remember how they were as kids and how close they really were. There's this flashback with Richie and Eddie where they're both in a hammock. Bickering, as always.
The hammock, 10 minutes each was the rule. I don't see any sign. Are you being this way right now? Really? No. Why would there be a sign if it was a verbal agreement? I don't agree on the fucking rule. It's your vagina.
And they're kind of sitting entangled in this old hammock, and it feels like a very nice moment.
I'll do anything to get the hell out of Derry.
Man, when I graduate, I'm going to Florida.
I mean, things might be different then.
It feels like we're watching a teen movie where the two love interests are bickering all the time, but they really do love each other and love being close to one another. It's just nice. It's important that the movie is reminding us of their close relationship. This is going to be important later on. The terrible 90s movie also reiterated their close relationship as kids.
I love this man. I love this man. He's like the brother I never had. Wait a minute. He is the brother I never had.
Ah, yes. The two bachelors comforting each other with ambiguously gay shoulder clasps. Clearly, these two men love each other, in every movie, book, or whatever. So after the clubhouse scene reminds us that these people are disaster bisexuals, the friends split up and have to look for their sentimental item from the past. Let's talk about Richie's. If you've seen this movie, then you know what I mean. So, Richie's special item is a game token. We're provided a flashback to Richie playing a game with another kid in an arcade.
You, come on.
Can you look, bitch?
Yes.
You're fucking good.
In this scene, we see something subtle, but we all know what it is. There's a slow touch between the two boys, something very quick. But if you've ever been young and had a crush, you'll know that feeling of slow motion, where every glance feels important. And it is important in this scene. Richie likes this friend. He has a crush on his friend. It's obvious. They finish the game, and Richie asks if he wants to play some more. It's an innocent gesture and a yearning for a closer relationship.
Hey, how about we go again? Play some more, you know? Only if you want to.
Richie may or may not know what he's doing, but he knows that what he feels inside is seen as wrong, and he's probably a confused kid dealing with a lot of stuff. And the other kid is like, you wanna play again? Playing a game twice is gay, fella.
Only if you want to.
Shut up. Dude, why are you being weird? I'm not your fucking boyfriend.
Whoa, I didn't.
What the fuck's going on here?
You assholes didn't tell me your town is full of little fairies.
Richie fucking Tozier? Wait, you trying to bone my little cousin? Get the fuck out of here, faggot!
Yeah, so I guess by asking to play again, the other kid got the message, and reacted pretty poorly. It also turns out that the other kid is the little cousin of Henry, the 80s bully. The kid tells Henry as he's coming in, and they call Richie some slurs, and Richie runs out, probably feeling like shit. So, the adult Richie is thinking about this, as he's walking in the same area where that stuff happened 30 years ago. We get a weird, metaphorical appearance from the hate crime victim from the beginning of the story, just to stress the theme a bit more. And then Pennywise comes in and mocks Richie by saying,
I know your secret, your dirty little secret.
And thus, there we have it. An explicit indication that Richie is attracted to men, and that he's ashamed of it. Who knew that the one making all the jokes about being aggressively straight would be the one using that to mask something? Richie has probably dealt with this for a long time. His friends don't know his secret. His career is an aggressively straight space. He's unmarried, but all his peers are getting married and having kids. It's probably something that's getting to him. And coming back to Derry, he might be realizing old feelings he's had for Eddie. but he's also remembering how much hate is in his town. So he's conflicted. Given the fact that your memories of Derry become hazy once you leave, now that he's returning, he might be remembering this for the first time in years. He's confronting a lot right now, so we should give him some space. Fictionally, of course. So Richie is so shocked by his gayness that he almost dips, but then he realizes, nah, I gotta do it for my friends. So basically, the movie's trying to tell us that as much as we try to leave things behind and run away from them, some things need to be confronted. And some things are just parts of us that we need to accept and be proud of.
Secrets we feel like we have to keep are the hardest to walk away from.
Am I getting it? Are you getting it? Get it? Are you okay? Did you get it? Should I call someone to get it for you? Should I ship it again? Anyway, so one movie later, they're about to go and kill Pennywise. And they're all dealing with their shit, and they're all friends like old times. Eddie and Richie are especially friendly. In this one scene, Eddie has his inhaler and Richie tells him, oh, hey bud, that's like all psychosomatic and like you don't need that, dude. And he's trying to pump Eddie up and basically do what it would take a licensed therapist a while, but okay. No, it's okay. But you know, a heart to heart is still a heart to heart.
You're braver than you think. Thanks, Richie. Ow. Sorry.
It's not gay until the hearts touch. Richie is really starting to get comfortable around Eddie. He's really starting to be sincere. He's being a good friend, and maybe he wants to be more? Does Eddie want to be more? In the 90s movie, this moment is interesting.
I mean, I've never even been with Eddie.
Eddie, what are you saying? You're a virgin?
Yeah.
Well, I can't help you with that, pal, but thanks for sharing.
I could never sleep with somebody that I didn't love. And I've never really loved anyone. Except you guys.
So Eddie just wants to casually let Richie know that he's a virgin. Okay, but also that he's never really loved someone? Does this hold true for Eddie in the new movies? He doesn't seem to exactly like his wife, and he doesn't really defend her when Richie is bashing her.
Married a woman 10 times with no body mass. Me. Yeah.
What if the only person he's ever really loved is Richie, but he doesn't understand that he could have that love? Eddie's been controlled throughout his life by his mom, and he's grown up in a very small and hateful town. If he ever felt anything more than friendship for Richie, he probably doesn't know how to express that openly, only through very firm shoulder clasps. So as they're fighting Pennywise, some clear character moments are happening. Let's see how gay we can make them. Eddie is finally realizing his own individual strength, and that's definitely thanks to Richie's motivation. There was this scene earlier when Richie was being attacked and Eddie was too scared to go in and save him. But Richie isn't offended. He understands that Eddie has some real trauma and anxiety. He's trying to encourage him, pull him up like a good, decent boyfriend. Later on, Eddie starts to believe in himself because Richie motivated him, because Richie believed in him. Eddie actually confronts Pennywise directly.
This kills monsters. If you believe it does.
Big motherfucker!
And it goes horribly wrong.
I think I got him, man. I think I killed it. I did. I think I killed it for real.
Well, there's your daily lesson, everyone. Face your fears and you will die a painful, horrible death. Of course, Richie goes ballistic. He's grasping at Eddie, probably realizing all the time they wasted bickering, realizing his chance with Eddie is over. Richie is still hopeful, though. The others acknowledge that Eddie is a goner, but Richie still believes that there's something to be done. He stands by his side, holding him, speaking his name. As they finally all kill Pennywise, Richie goes back to Eddie, strokes his face, still in denial.
We got this, man.
He's all right. No, he's just hurt. We gotta get him out of here. He's hurt. Bev. No, he's okay. We gotta get him out of here, Bev.
The others try to tell him that they have to leave, but Richie doesn't want to go. He wants to save Eddie. He still believes. He has to be dragged out of the place, otherwise he would have stood by Eddie as the whole place collapsed. All he can give Eddie is the final hug.
Here we
After they leave the scene, it's all bittersweet. Richie is crying, he lost his glasses, the straight people get to kiss, whatever. We get the post-defeat scene, we get the cute flashback with the whole gang, we get a good old-fashioned end-of-movie narration sequence, and then we see something that I think is nice, but also terrible.
Don't. Be who you want to be. Be proud.
Oh, R plus E? Richie and Eddie? Oh, so Richie was in love with Eddie? Probably? Oh, okay. So they're confirming it. So they're just doing it. Oh, okay, cool. We knew that, but also, is he? I feel like if a boomer were watching this movie and they hadn't fallen asleep at this point, they're probably like, oh, how sad, he lost his friend. And I don't want to have to explain to old people that they weren't just very special friends. Because, like, if you're a woke zoomer, you're probably like, oh, R plus E. Oh, so they said the word proud?
Be proud.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely homosexual. And that's great for zoomers, but I mean, everything is gay to zoomers. If you're some old dude from a small town like Derry, Maine, you're probably like, oh, poor guy lost his good old pal. It would have been cool if we had a scene where Richie was actually, like, out and proud. Maybe using the word gay ever? Maybe showing a happy ending for him where he gets some California beefcake? I don't know. But what we got was okay, I guess. Richie finally gets to be a proud, old, and sad gay man. It's not like Derry isn't still super homophobic and racist, huh? And that's the problem with it. While cool, they made Richie gay, assuming you were paying attention, the whole gay thing isn't really handled that well, is it? This movie is about hatred. Pennywise is supposed to be reinforced by the hatred and fear in Derry. The losers overcoming their fear is what finally made Pennywise die. They finally stood up to their bully. But homophobia isn't as simple as standing up to your bully. Do you think that queer people in the 80s were just supposed to go, oh yeah, Ronald Reagan, that guy? Yeah, he's a meanie buttface. Like, that would have been totally badass, but it wouldn't have created institutional change. Bigotry doesn't exist because of some immaterial evil force or some metrosexual clown. Bigotry cannot be resolved by using the power of friendship. Maybe everything was cool for the losers after they left Derry, but Derry is still dealing with a history of hate. Confronting bigotry is a complex historical process that involves dismantling power structures over time. It isn't just, oh, we killed the monster, so everything's cool now. Cool. So you made $500 million by talking about how you should just get over your issues and be proud of who you are. But really? Don't get me wrong, I didn't expect It Chapter 2 to be some beautifully crafted masterwork on bigotry and hatred, but if you're going to bring up the issues, maybe handle them a little bit more nuanced. Here's the weird part though. The places where it was subtle were a bit too subtle. Your gay story shouldn't be super subtle. I don't want to have to Google the movie to make sure I got the right interpretation. I appreciated the amount of screen time that we did get for Richie's story. I thought that it was cool that a major blockbuster had a gay story in it, but I feel like there should have been more. I wanted to see Richie and Eddie talk about their relationship. I want to see Richie and Eddie get gay married. And yet, all we got was homophobic Pennywise, a decently executed flashback, and a subtle hint through a wood carving? Great, so Bev and Ben get this underwater kiss shit, but Richie and Eddie get some wood. And not the good kind either. And what is even more infuriating is that some dude bro on Twitter is definitely going to go, oh, another gay story. Hollywood once again shoving their homosexual agenda down our throats. Boy, would I love it if the homosexual agenda was shoved down my throat. And while many things are shoved down my throat, the homosexual agenda definitely isn't one of them. This movie is the most polished, calculated, and corporate version of the agenda you could possibly get. It's a bunch of people in suits telling me to stand up and be proud and buy tickets to our movies. If people are going to say that the homosexual agenda is controlling everything anyways, you might as well just go all the way. Show Richie becoming the benevolent gay communist dictator of Derry or something. These subtle, be proud messages don't do a whole lot. Now, I understand the case for it. Some people might see this movie and see themselves on screen. They might feel represented and accepted for the first time in their life. Or they might feel hopeless. They might watch this and think, oh, but like, no one's problems got solved and like the town is still homophobic. I don't expect this movie to solve the world's problems, but if it wants to propagate itself as a pioneering queer film, it's definitely not that. It's okay. I mean, Richie and Eddie were totally gay. Yeah, I'm confirming it. Don't Google it. They were gay. You don't have to Google it anymore, guys. They were gay. They were gay. Well, Twitter dude bros, if Stephen King was totally cool with the gay thing, maybe you should be too. A lot of people interpreted It Chapter 1 as a subtle queer narrative. I'm glad with It Chapter 2 they actually explored the queer side of it explicitly, instead of queerbaiting the audience, taking the money and leaving. I think that they deserve a little bit of props for that, and I think that you're totally valid if you feel like you're really connected with the story and feel represented. But we should also acknowledge its faults. No movie is perfect, especially one made by a bunch of corporate suits. But if we learn anything today, it's that bigotry is a complex institutional process that involves confronting the material conditions of a society in order to confront its ideological frameworks. Or we could just die. And also, Richie and Eddie were in love. Or were they? Were they gay? Bisexual? Asexual? Anarcho-syndicalists? Something else entirely? You decide. Special thanks to my patrons. And while you're at it, please follow me on social media, links in the description and on the screen. Mally Drew G, Huda, Alexa, Paulina Rikitska, Maria, Georgina Woke, Jason, Evil Little Tiger, Gregory Brewer Jr., Juicebox08, Zoe Amelia Flowers, Caroline Doan, Jean Scott, Cucumber, AFK Bard, Feeler, The Foster 24, Ryro, Del Elliott, Charlotte, Alexina, Megalomaniac 64, Marie, Mikery Petra, James Sledge, Enar Dominguez Elvira, Crystal Chung, Anna Tchaikovska, Etienne, Jessica Carmona, Night Tripping Fairy,